The Norfolk State Spartans, I'm going to tell you what, really got it done in postseason play, winning the CIT. And it's a really, really big deal as we're joined by the head coach of the Spartans, Robert Jones, in his 10th season as the head coach or the head men's basketball coach at Norfolk State, joining us here on the program. Congratulations, Coach Jones.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, what did it mean? I had a chance to watch the latter part of that game, the win over Purdue Fort Wayne, or Fort Wayne Purdue. Your thoughts, first of all, on that game and the victory.
Yeah, it was Purdue Fort Wayne. You had it right. You had it right the first time. They used to be IPFW, and then they changed it to Purdue Fort Wayne. So I don't know what happened to the I, but it's just PFW now for them. But yeah, man, they're a good team. You know, they came into the game. You know, their net ranking or their KenPom was like 150. You know, in the country, 153, something like that. So they were the top 40% of the country. You know, so to go out there and get a win against those guys was tremendous. You know, obviously they had us down big in the first half. We were able to settle down, get our bearings right, and able to win that game. But it was just good for the program, good for HBCUs in general to get a postseason championship. Most HBCUs don't get a postseason championship in any tournament. So it's good to get one.
Yeah, taking away your thoughts, you know, taking away the automatic bid from the NIT, which you would have. I mean, you would have been in the NIT, and you had some really nice wins against non-conference opponents this
year. Yeah, I mean, the automatic bid for the NIT really was terrible, you know, honestly. And of course, it hits us on the year that we actually win the regular season and don't make the tournament. So, you know, we felt full, you know, the full brunt of it this year with the new rule change. So, with that being said, you know, if you win the regular season, obviously you have a pretty good basketball team, and we wanted to continue to play, and so we decided to play in the CIT. And you know, the things that I told the guys was that if we're going to play in this thing, then we're going to play to win, and we were able to do that. So we were able to win the tournament. That was great.
You felt like you probably would get some. It's like a bunch of, and I think what's great. There are a lot of postseason tournaments. You were actually able to play Alabama A&M. When you look at postseason in Division I basketball, the women, you still got A&T women that are playing, Alabama A&M, Texas Southern. There's a lot of postseason basketball available for HBCUs. You had to feel like you were probably going to get into this tournament, and you got a first round bye.
Yeah, we knew we were going to get into something because both the CBI and the CIT called us. We just chose the CIT. You know, that was just a preference for us. But you know, with 20, well, we had 22 wins coming into postseason. We knew somebody would probably reach out to us because I mean, also at the end of the day, man, there's only 68 teams that play in the NCAA tournament, only 32 that play in the NIT at this point, and then there's another 32 that play in either the CBI or the CIT. So you're looking at really a total of 132 teams that get you to play postseason out of 363. You know, that's so really a lot of fans don't understand. Well, if you didn't make this NCAA tournament, you know, it's like, what are you playing this for? Well, only 132 teams get a chance to play. You know, so that's like, you know, what is that, top 30%, top 40, you know, that you get a chance to play in the postseason. So if you're able to do that, then why not do that? You know, I think that we've become so bougie, and especially at some places that we can't play at any postseason unless it's NCAA tournament. Well, we're not Kentucky. You know, we're not North Carolina, you know, and not just Norfolk State, but mid-majors, HBCUs, or whoever in general. You're not on that level where it's like NCAA tournament or bust. You know, it's if you're able to play postseason, it's great. I don't know where this bougie quality came in with people that you can't play in any tournament other than NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But okay, so why the CIT? What was the difference? Why the CIT?
The CIT was going to, like, the CBI was going to be all played in Daytona. You know, which is I mean, it was a nice city, you know, so there's nothing wrong with that. But the CIT was giving us a chance to be able to play one of our games at home. And we wanted to take advantage of that, you know, to be able, because, you know, we finished the season 15-0 at home. So The championship game wasn't always going to be played at home. The first round, yeah, it was going to be played at home. But then when IPFW kind of relinquished their rights to play the championship game at home, we jumped on it, and we took the championship game and played it at home last night.
Robert Jones, again, the head men's basketball coach at Norfolk State, joins us here on the program. He's in his 10th season as the head coach at Norfolk State. When, it's interesting. What is it? What is it about? Anything can happen in the MEAC tournament. What is it about Howard? It's 2 years where Howard was able to knock you all out of the tournament.
I don't think it's nothing about Howard. It's just a coincidence, about what happened because, and not taking that away from Howard now, but we knocked off Howard, I think 3 years in a row at one point before they knocked us off 2 years. So it's like, it ain't really nothing with Howard. I don't have any ill will with them or anything like that. I just talked to Coach Blakely yesterday when he called me about the CIT championship. Now is it starting to be like some kind of rivalry between our fans and the players? I don't know, maybe because of what I think the rivalry is shifting. Before it was a lot of us central rivalry type thing, and then now it seems like it's shifted to like a us and Howard rivalry. And that's just like a lot of it is like, media and fans making it like that because, yes, Howard has, eliminated us the last 2 years. But if you go back and look at like the records, like it's not even close, as far as what the rivalry aspect of it. But once again, like I always say, man, shout out to Coach Blakely, who got it done 2 years in a row. And, we'll see what happens next year. But, there's no ill will to me towards Howard that maybe other fans or alumni might have at this point.
Just can you speak to your tenure, at Norfolk State and the success that you've been able to have, and then what most comes to your mind?
The success has been great. I think that for me, it's really the sustained success, I would say, because I talk to a lot of coaches, throughout the country, whether young, old, things like that. And there's a lot of coaches that might all of a sudden have a good year, and the thing I challenge them to do is like, do it again, really, prove your merit. So I take that theory into my career too, as far as do it again, So we've been doing it again for 11 years. It's not like we've been, had one good year and then we fall off the face of the earth. Since I've been here, we're the only team that hasn't fallen under 500 in conference play. There's been teams that have been at the top and have fallen to under 500 records here and there, and we've been fortunate enough to never do it. So it's like, once again, I always tell anybody, the things I tell the other people is things that I live by myself. So it's like South Carolina State had a great year this year. Right, they had a great year. Shout out to Coach Martin and things like that. The thing I say is do it again. How you'll see how hard it is. And for me, what I take out of my coaching journey is that sometimes things are underappreciated, Donald. For me, I think that because of the do it again mantra that I take, some people don't know how hard it is to do it again. So and again and again and again. So. I take a little bit of I still kind of have a chip on my shoulder. I still feel like underappreciated to a certain extent about how hard we work. I saw somebody put up a tweet today, and it was like, actually, when you're in the moment, you kind of don't understand what's really going on. I would say for me, but they put up like the last 6 years, we're 125 and 66 with 2 NCAA berths, an NIT win, a CIT tournament championship, and an NCAA tournament win. That resume could go against almost anybody in the country, but because we've raised the expectations that high for Norfolk State, it almost flies under the radar that people don't realize how hard it is to do it again, and stuff like that. And so that's the thing I take out of my coaching journey. And probably the biggest thing, when it comes down to wins and stuff like that, I don't have like a favorite win per se. For me, maybe it's the win over Alabama, in the 2019 NIT, because we were such an underdog, we was able to win that game on the road. But I don't have a specific win that or something like that I would say like, oh, that's the pinnacle right there.
because you've been able to build this program in 10 years, the successes, you just listed them right there. Other schools have to be contacting you about their head coaching positions. Do you entertain those, whether they're offers or interviews or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, you know what I say is that there have been schools, including this year, have contacted or offered their position. But the thing that most people don't understand is it's probably not as much as it should be to a certain extent. You know, even though I'm ultra happy at Norfolk State University, they treat me well. Dr. J and AD Melody Webb, you know, they treat me well. You know, they take, you know, everything is taken care of and things like that. But once again, when you list the successes that we've had as a program, in theory, if Norfolk State would say, I don't know, Iona or something like that, right? Then people would be beating down your door from like the Power Six conferences to come snatch you. It's an unfair rep that MEAC teams, MEAC players, and MEAC coaches get. You know, that you have to, like, once again, go back to the mantra, do it again and do it again and do it again and do it again before you get a shot at what you would say in quotes, a bigger opportunity. You know, there's folks in other leagues that have done, you know, just call a spade, half of what we've accomplished here at Norfolk State, and get opportunities at these big Power Six jobs and things of that nature, because the MEAC gets an unfair rep. Like, there's people out there that just think that we just play against the MEAC schools. And the MEAC schools, once again, are better than what people think anyway, but they just think that you just play against them and you're not beating anybody else. But like you said, to start off this whole conversation, look at our non-conference this year. We beat VCU, right? VCU got to the quarterfinals of the NIT last night. Yeah. We beat Illinois State. I'm not quite sure how they finished up, but they were, you know, they might have finished up middle of the pack in the Valley, right? We beat South Dakota State, which was a 15 seed this year in the NCAA tournament. We beat them by 22 this year, you know, and they were number 50. They were a 15 seed in the tournament. So you can run down a list of different things that we've done, and it still kind of gets overlooked because of this HBCU MEAC stigma, which is very, very unfair to the coaches and players. Because, like I said, some of the stuff that the players have done, some of the stuff that coaches have done, if we were anything else, half of it would have been like you would have had a statue built by now.
Right. No, it's a great point. You mentioned, no need to ask you further. You said stigma. I was going to ask you if there is in fact a stigma. You in fact have said there is, as I think we know. But I mean, it's just, you know, that's got to be super frustrating, right? Like, you sound like that way. It's got to be super frustrating. Look, I know you're happy at Norfolk State, but to the point, you know, I'm sure you feel like, hey, there are some other offers out here that I should be getting that are a little better than what I'm currently getting.
Yeah, I think anybody feels that way with any profession that they're in, right? If you're a partner at the, not a partner, like just an associate at a law firm, you want to be partner. You want to own one. You know, you want to, like, keep moving up that chain. Even though you might be happy being an associate at the law firm, you want to eventually make partner. You want to, you know, things like that, right? So, you know, I'm more than happy at Norfolk State. But as a Division I coach, you see some of these coaches, let's just call a spade, making generational changing financial figures. It's not just life changing. Some of these coaches are making generational changing. You know, you get guys making $7, $8, $9 million a year for 7 years. That's going to change not just their life, but their children's lives, and maybe the children's lives if things are done the right way, right? So you see that happening, and you're like, I'm just as good as some of these guys. You know, as a competitor, you know you can do it at that level. You know, the one thing that sometimes people say, man, and I've heard this in an interview. I'm not going to say which school said this because, you know, that would be bad, right? But one school asked me, well, you know, you're doing such a great job, you know, at Norfolk State, and you guys hardly have any resources. You know, how do you think you would do with more resources? And I'm like, well, how do you think you would do if you had more money in your pocket? Like, if you have $1,000 in bank account, somebody gives you $1 million now, like, do you think that life would be better? You know what I mean? With $1 million and you had 1,000? It was like the weirdest question that I probably didn't give them the answer that they wanted to hear because I was so almost taken back. Like, what do you mean if you give me more resources, how would I do? Probably better, like maybe probably even better than what I'm doing now. But it was like those are the questions that you get, those like that's the perception that you have. It's like it's almost comical sometimes. And once again, there's a couple schools that have offered positions throughout the years. Sometimes it wasn't the right time, or sometimes the terms didn't make sense to do because once again, I have a great situation at Norfolk State at this point. So it's you have to if I was to leave, everything has to be right. The school, the resources, the terms, everything has to be right because why leave a great situation that I do have? But there is a stigma, Donald. I will say that again. It's a heavy stigma because there's no way you could put my resume, even like Lavelle's resume, against any kind of mid-major coach in the country. And if you didn't say, okay, they coached at Norfolk State or they coached at Howard or Central or Morgan or whatever the case is, and they just took a blank canvas, there's no way that an AD wouldn't choose our resumes over the next person's resume. But because there is not a blank canvas, people choose differently, let's just say.
No doubt about it. Coach Jones, we appreciate the time. Last thought, and by the way, to your point, that stigma permeates throughout not only athletics, but other work areas in terms of HBCUs as well. Would you consider and I'm not saying you should, I'm just asking, an assistant job at a bigger school? And I don't know that helps, but I'm just asking the question. Is that something you would consider?
It's crazy. That probably would help, but that's unfair, right? It's something that okay, if I went to be an assistant coach at, say, I don't know, Baylor, right? Okay, forget it. Like they're almost going to forget everything I've done at Norfolk State, which has been a lot of good things, as we know. All they're going to see is, oh, you're assistant, like associate head coach at Baylor. Yeah, we want you, man, because you're at Baylor. But like, wait a second, I just got 211 wins at Norfolk State, But it's like it's stuff like that happens, or too often that once again we get overlooked, to the utmost, which is totally unfair. And nothing wrong with the assistant coaches at any of those high majors because, I'm sure they do great jobs and stuff like that. But if you already got a sitting head coach that's used to calling timeouts, used to calling plays, running a program, and has success at that, then why are they looked at lower than as a high major assistant coach, right? I've been in searches that I was almost insulted, honestly, because I was the only head coach. It was like, I was a head coach before the assistant coaches. So really, I'm like, well, hell, I should win this one right away, right? But they're looking at these assistant coaches as high major coaches that high major assistant is better than that mid-major or HBCU head coach, which is insane because that HBCU head coach has, even in a case like mine, has coached over 350 games, calling timeouts in 350 games. That's totally different than an assumption of what you think it might be because you was a high major assistant coach. So I think at this point in my life right now, I probably wouldn't go being a high major assistant unless I totally had to. Something happens at Norfolk State and you got to do whatever you got to do to feed your family. But at the same time, as long as I'm in this space at Norfolk State, I probably wouldn't be a high major unless it's like some astronomical deal that I just couldn't turn down. And to this point, that hasn't been that case. So, I'm still around and I'm still here.
No doubt about it. Robert Jones, by the way, he is the HBCU National Coach of the Year. Also, yes, currently, very well deserved. And the Spartans winning the CIT tournament, which is a really, really big deal as he joins us here on Box to Row. Coach Jones, as always, appreciate the candor. And we look forward to you doing some big things next year as you continue, sort of this process.
Man, thank you. And once again, thank you and Box to Row for the National Coach of the Year. Is to have the most wins at HBCU this year with 24 was a credit to all the coaching staff, the players. administration, everything, man. It's hard to get 24 wins when you got to play guarantee games and things like that, and that's tough. And as I know, hence why I assume why we were able to get that award from you. But it's definitely tough to go out there and get 24 games when you're playing a 30th schedule. Playing against some of the big boys. So once again, it was a great thing, man. We appreciate it, and keep doing your thing, brother. Appreciate you.